Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Gisele K. This is Grizzly True Crime and this is part 2 of the discussion of the Gisèle Pelicot case. It's a horrifying case that is happening right now. Today's date is of course October 10th of 2024. There's a trial that started on September 2nd of 2024 where over 50 men, in fact 51 men, are on trial for sexually abusing this lady, Gisele, okay, organized by her husband. So we're going to go over a few little details that I wanted to go over yesterday, but it would have been just too long. So part 1 and 2 is better, also just to be able to process this story, because it's truly terrible. Okay, so as I say, this case takes place in France. In fact, I'll bring up a little map time for you so you could just see it. I don't know if any of you are here and you are from France, or if you've ever been there. I actually haven't been to France. I would like to go. But here we go. So this chateau, don't want to botch it, de Oblay. Oh no, shame. French people are like, what are you saying, lady? Okay, that is apparently where the husband grew up, around here. And then this Villiers-sous-Marne area is where the couple lived for quite some time. And Gisele was a company manager for over 20 years. And then they moved further down south to this area. Wait. Avignon is where the trial is happening, and this Mazan area is where they lived. So this horrifying abuse took place between 2011 and 2020. And the interesting thing to note, and why I want to show you the map, is because they say that they had moved down south in 2013, which means that the abuse really started up here, in this house up here somewhere. There's not a physical address, it's just the area, right? Villiers-sous-Marne. Okay? And so then moved to this house and it continued for another 7 years. Right, so now if you don't know anything about the case, I would highly recommend checking out part 1, but I'm going to do a quick little recap here for you, as well as we're going to look at a few details that I wasn't able to share with you yesterday yet. All right, please like and share so others can also learn about this case. I think this woman is amazing. What a hero. Oh my goodness, she's so brave. I wish we could all give her a hug, honestly. The trauma is unbelievable. So, over 80 men were invited to, over 80 men, yes, were invited to Gisèle Pelicot's husband, that's her picture on the right, to their home in Mazan, that one I just showed you on the map there, to rape her while she was drugged, known as chemical submission, between 2011 and 2020. So for 9 years, her husband had connected with people online on these virtual chat rooms and websites. One is called coco.gg or something like that. Okay, not promoting it. Don't go there. I couldn't find it. I think it's been shut down. They said they shut it down in June of 2024. Thank goodness. Okay, but there's other chat rooms I know people can connect on. But her husband was connecting with all these other men saying, I'm just going to say the damn words. Sorry, YouTube. Please like, guys, so that YouTube can know that you want others to see this information. So he asked them, you like rape like me? Huh? And that's how he connected with them. And then he invited these men over to their home to rape his drugged wife. I mean, she had no idea. Okay. Thank you so much, Lida. You say what to experience Zanine, the fruit. I've been there. Thank you so much. So she was essayed 92 times by 72 men during this time. And she had no idea. He drugged her with Temesta, which is also known as lorazepam, a prescription drug for anxiety. Dominique, her husband, also had a prescription for it. So we didn't discuss which drug yesterday. I did put a pinned comment in case anyone was going to ask there in the comment section. But yes, he also had a prescription for it. Now, it sounds to me like he didn't take his. I don't know if he was only abusing her prescriptions or if he got his hands on it somewhere else, but he also had his own one. He gradually increased Gisele's doses from 3 to 10 tablets, which he crushed into her food and drink. She once noticed that her beer was like greenish, but she didn't suspect that her husband was drugging her. And I mean, who would? Who would be like, this beer looks weird? Oh, well, like meaning who would think like, oh my word, my husband is busy trying to drug me. He's trying to poison me. No one's mind would really go there. Okay, I can't say no one because probably all of us who've watched way too much true crime, we're going to be like, oh my word. But she was just like, well, that's weird. And she had no idea why she had all these funny symptoms, right? So her adult children noticed that her health was deteriorating. And when they called the home, then Dominique, her husband at the time, told them that she was asleep. She's experiencing a lot of fatigue because, he was just the greatest, most caring husband in the world. The good guy. That was their public appearance. Her son-in-law said, we even discussed making her come to see us less often so that she wouldn't wear herself out. I now understand that the aim was to keep her under his thumb. Yeah, hello, coercive control and abuse, right? So again, if you didn't see part 1, you might feel a little lost. I hope you'll go watch part 1. These are just some extra bullet points that I've added. Now, doctors were trying to find the cause of her fatigue. This happened while she was in her 60s. Him as well, in their 60s. Grandparents, okay? And that's when he started all of this. I think she was 59 when it started, but doctors were trying to find the cause of her fatigue and gynecological problems. They said there were inflamed areas and she had STDs, and of course he blamed her for it, like, who are you cheating on me with? Like, what are you doing with your days? Then her anxiety got worse to the point where she no longer wanted to drive anywhere herself, so she got isolated. Yeah, as you say, Marley Mumps is isolating. Yep, he isolated her. Typical patterns we see, right? Anyway, and so her anxiety got so bad she no longer wanted to drive anywhere herself, especially after she woke up one morning with a new haircut and no memory of visiting the hairdresser. Some of the sources that I've been reading on say that she did go to the hairdresser to ask, like, what the hell? And they said, no, you were here. Apparently her husband drove her around everywhere to all the doctors to get that haircut, but she doesn't remember it. So she really felt like, whoa, I'm having incredible memory loss. And she thought at that time that she was developing Alzheimer's disease, right? So then Glass Alien said, not to be crude, but wouldn't she feel sore? Yes, and that's why she was up and down to the doctors, because she woke up not knowing why. Certain things were swollen, sore, things like that. So then her devoted husband of nearly 50 years, Dominique Pelicot, stayed by her side, driving her to specialist appointments, scans, and supported her in seeking a diagnosis for what she thought was Alzheimer's. Gisele's case has inspired medical courses to help doctors identify signs of chemical submission. So that's going to be a huge change, of course. Well, in France, I hope it inspires the rest of the world as well. This chemical submission, when it's basically when someone's roofied and abused. So doctors are now going to be looking out for signs of that, because the doctors that she went to couldn't figure out all these symptoms. Like, so you've got fatigue, and then you've got gynecological problems, and there's these STDs, and you can't remember, go for a haircut, like all these things. They just weren't sure what was going on with her, right? Steel Guitar said, I take lorazepam. He must have really given her a lot in order to knock her out. What they're reporting is that it started with 3 tablets and then went up to 10, but I don't know, it could be a lot more, as you say. Now, the men, there's over, there could be more. It's just the ones they see on the video that was documented by the husband, right? But all these the men are from the village and surrounding area. So yesterday I was saying that, because I'd read in many places that they obviously things are being translated from French to English, and so there's some of the substance is lost there, right? Lost in translation a little bit. But they were saying that they're all from the area, right? The village where they live, this Mazan, has only got 6,000 people. And they say, though, they also came from surrounding areas. So some of them would have driven far-ish to do this, okay? They interacted with Dominique on a website called Coco. Mazan is a beautiful medieval village where actress Keira Knightley actually got married. So that's what it was known for. Now the town is quite horrified of what the town is known for, of course. Like, whoa, that's where that happened. While the police have identified and detained 50 of the men whose images appeared on Dominique Pelicot's hard drive, another 30 suspects remain at large. Remember, the husband had folders on his computer and phone, and on hard drive. And so mostly on his computer. And the folder was called abuse. And it was called abuse and her rape and my slut. Yeah, he had those folders. He also had another folder, my daughter naked. The daughter's horrified. Oh my goodness, of course. So now the daughter's also like, oh my goodness, what if he drugged me too? All right. Yeah, Deborah said it's a miracle she's still alive. Now, Gisèle Pelicot has declined her own legal right to privacy, preferring instead to become a symbol of defiance for many French women, and I would say women all over the world. She has divorced her husband and changed her surname, but she's using her former surname, Pelicot, at the trial. She said, I dedicate this fight to all the people, women and men, throughout the world who are victims of sexual violence. To all these victims, I want to say to them today, look around you. You are not alone. I mean, she is so incredibly brave. She's facing not only her husband in court, but also 50 other men. And she has said, because normally, as I told you yesterday when we did part 1, in Europe, there's these privacy laws which protect the victim. We looked at a recent case in Switzerland where usually the victim's name is changed. Their faces are blurred out in photos. They keep them private, right? And sometimes the perpetrator too. They don't share their real name online. But Gisèle has authorized that no, you tell the world my name. You show those videos in the courtroom. So there's public people that can also go and view the trial, and they're able to see those videos as well. And she's like, we need to make sure that the shame falls on the perpetrator's shoulders and no longer on the victim. And I'm all for that. Yeah, they should be ashamed of themselves. So some of them, which we're going to read now, say, no, I didn't. So again, trigger warning. Okay, this is a hectic case. I didn't penetrate or anything like that. Nothing. And then they show the video. They're like, yeah, you did. You did. And so, wow, all the lies that they tell are being exposed. We're going to hear about all the excuses they made in the courtroom so far. So please, put on your snarky pants because, oh man, when me reading this, I was like, this is terrible. Okay, so this is what we went over yesterday, right? Let me show you a quick picture of the husband so you could just see. There he is. There. Yeah. And yesterday we also found out he's being investigated in many cold cases, including a murder case. So who knows what all they're going to find out about this guy, right? So this is, if you haven't seen this is what we went over yesterday. Okay. There we go. These are the cold cases they're looking into. So go and check out part 1 if you want to see that. What I want to show you now is, yes, we've done map time. I was telling you yesterday that I was trying to look if there's an English version of this book that Gisèle's daughter wrote. I haven't found an English version. If anyone finds an English version, please let me know. It all looks like it's all in French. There's an audiobook, there's a book, and this is it. Okay, it sounds very interesting. So, let me quickly see. Danielle Colby says, lorazepam is Ativan. That's what Stefan Stearns was taking. I must say, when I heard lorazepam, I'm like, isn't that what Stefan Stearns was taking? Interesting. And, wow, that case is also horrifying. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Now, I want to show you this. Let me just see what this is. Oh, yeah. Okay. Remember, how was he caught? How was Dominique Pelicot caught? Well, he had been upskirting females in shopping centers, like taking photos and videos up their skirts in grocery stores. And he was caught. And one woman actually came forward, which is this lady here, okay, victim of Dominique Pelicot, on how her report led to France's mass RAPE trial. Okay? And so, a victim of the man accused of drugging his now ex-wife and letting at least 50 men rape her while she was sedated has spoken out about her assault that led to the discovery of his crimes. And they say, warning, the story contains details that readers may find distressing. So, yes, this whole topic is very upsetting and distressing. Now, they say Dominique Pelicot, 71, was caught upskirting, filming under the clothing of several women at a supermarket when Natalie was warned by a security guard that the man had been following her. He had used a camera hidden in a bag to take images of women in the shopping center in Carpentras in southeastern France in September of 2020. Pelicot was confronted by the security guard who seized his telephone, and Natalie decided to file a complaint with the local police, which led to his arrest. Here's a court sketch of Dominique Pelicot during his trial. He was convicted and received a suspended sentence in 2021. Pelicot had also been arrested for similar offenses in Paris in 2010. Back then, he was fined €100 and kept it a secret from his now ex-wife Gisèle Pelicot. So while he was isolating her and she was so anxious she didn't want to drive anywhere herself, he was taking the car and driving around to shopping malls and upskirting people. What the hell? Okay, so it was a decision by Natalie that led investigators to discover the many videos of men abusing Miss Pelicot for a decade. For 2 years after that, I couldn't wear a skirt to go shopping. I threw away the clothes I wore that day, Natalie said in an interview with French broadcaster BFM TV. Luckily, we filed a complaint. Pelicot has admitted to drugging Miss Pelicot with sedatives and filming all of the assaults. He's now on trial in Avignon, along with some 50 other men who are accused of essaying her. After Pelicot was caught upskirting in the supermarket, police searched Pelicot's house and electronic devices and found thousands, they said 20,000, thousands of photos and videos of men engaging in sexual acts with Miss Pelicot while she appeared to lie unconscious on their bed. Miss Pelicot, who has waived her right to anonymity, contracted 4 STDs throughout the years of multiple alleged rapes. Some of the defendants claim that they were part of an arranged scenario. Ugh, my word, in an open marriage. Of all the men accused, Miss Pelicot only recognizes one, a man who had once come to their house to discuss cycling with her husband. She even bumped into him occasionally at the local bakery and exchanged greetings. She says she never imagined that he had done this to her. Now here, they do have some subtitles, so let's see if I could just play this for us.
Mais heureusement qu'on a déposé plainte, qu'on ne s'est pas dit juste bon allez c'est bon, le petit bonhomme là, mais heureusement vous vous rendez compte, il faisait son petit malheureux dans de dire mais j'ai rien fait, enfin voilà, c'était vraiment la personne lambda. Hein. Il avait quand même, je trouve, une attitude de, il donnait une attitude de victime quand même.
Did you see
Pendant
that?
au moins 2 ans, si
She says, he gave me the impression that he was a victim. This guy's always playing victim.
c'est pas plus, je n'ai plus fait mes courses en robe, quand même, ça veut dire quelque chose. Et la robe que je portais ce jour-là, je l'ai jetée. Quand au premier article qui est apparu, quand j'ai vu vraiment le personnage avec qui j'ai eu affaire, on va dire, je l'ai jeté.
So she's saying she threw away the dress that she was wearing that day. She was just so disgusted by all of it. I mean, my goodness. So now, this article is the one I want to read to you. This one and one other one. This one is quite long, so we're going to be here for a little while, but it's so informative, by Claire Lampin, an editor and writer. This is from The Cut. Now is when you put on your snarky pants, because you're going to hear a lot of these defendants just play the baby boy role. Like, no, but I was abused as a child. That's why I did this. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for doing this to anyone, you know? Asha said, thank you for your amazing work, Gisele. You're not only dedicated, but you're always so very thoughtful of victims in all the cases you cover. Thank you so much. And also, let me put this one on. Oh my goodness, Debbie Zito, before this stream started, bought a $300 super sticker and said, best true crime podcast on YouTube. Thanks for your hard work. My goodness, Debbie, thank you so much. That is so very kind of you. All right. So a French man recruited dozens of strangers to rape his wife. Gisèle Pelicot found out that she was the victim of a crime when police showed her the evidence, photos and videos spanning a decade in which a series of men had essayed her unconscious body in her own bedroom. Just this betrayal, I just can't imagine it. More confounding still was the perpetrator, the 71-year-old's husband of 50 years, Dominique Pelicot. Police say that between 2011 and 2020, Dominique routinely drugged his wife and invited strangers to join him in assaulting her, often filming the encounters. Now, let me insert this quickly from the other article we're going to read, and I think it's in here as well a little bit. Do you think that some of these men were inspired to do the same to their wives? Yep. Oh, yes. So we're going to go over some of that as well, because this case could be so much bigger than we can imagine as well, right? All right, so yeah, Pernille says, Grizzly supporters are the best. Absolutely. So then, often filming the encounters. Gisele has no memory of the attacks, but will see many of them played in court as dozens of defendants go on trial in Avignon, France between now and December. The trial is set to last until Christmas, they say. It started on September 2nd of 2024. Her ex-husband, also 71, has already pleaded guilty to a suite of charges, which, according to the New York Times, included aggravated RAPE, drugging, and the violation not only of his wife's privacy, but also his daughters and daughter-in-laws. What? Police also found illicit photos of them when searching Dominique's devices. This guy's such a predator. Oh my word, what a predator. The revelation of his abuse has destroyed a formerly tight-knit family, and the why behind his actions remains an open question. Although she has the right under French law to keep the proceedings private, Gisele opted to open the trial to the public so that when other women, if they wake up with no memory, they might remember the testimony of Miss Pelicot. That's also why I want to highlight the story, because this might happen to a lot of people, you know? It could happen to children, it could happen to adolescents, to adults, men, women, everyone. That you just wake up like so confused, like, what is that? You know? So, and by her own husband, who she'd been married to for 50 years, finding this out, being confronted with this information. Oh, wow. All right, so she said, you know, this is now an open trial to the public so that when other women, if they wake up with no memory, they might remember the testimony of Miss Pelicot. She explained, adding, no woman should suffer from being drugged and victimized. Of course, no person. Here is what's being reported about the case so far. So what happened to Gisele? Gisele and Dominique met when they were 19 and married at 21. The Times reports, despite periods of financial strain and even brief infidelity, she considered Dominique the great love of her life. I thought we were a strong couple, she said per the Times. We had everything to be happy. They had 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and regularly vacationed all together. Even our friends said we were the ideal couple, Gisele said in court, according to The Guardian. I will link this as well if you want to read it yourself, okay? For years, Dominique, I think it's already linked, by the way. For years, Dominique appeared a devoted husband. After the couple retired to the southern town of Mazan in 2013, and Gisele fell inexplicably ill. She was losing weight, her hair was falling out, she randomly experienced significant lapses in her memory, which she called total blackouts. It was Dominique who took her to see various doctors. I was persuaded that I had the beginnings of Alzheimer's or a brain tumor, Gisele testified, according to the Times. Now, again, can you imagine this husband is driving her around to all these doctor's appointments? Oh, he's being the good, caring, devoted husband. Meanwhile, he knows full well what's happening with her, right? Okay, and so, let's go here. So I was persuaded, right, she testified. But now, her symptoms appear to be the result of crushed sleeping pills that Dominique had been slipping into her food and drinks. When Gisele passed out, investigators say that Dominique invited strangers into their home to join him in essaying her. According to the AFP, he found these men via a forum called Without Her Knowledge. Oh, my word, what a forum. What is that? I wish that AI can be devastating, but also very powerful. I wish that AI could catch on to things like this much quicker, you know? Anyway, so without her knowledge, on the now defunct website, coco.gg, which had reportedly been involved in tens of thousands of police investigations before French authorities shut it down in June. Beginning around 2011, he's believed to have orchestrated more than 200 rapes in this way, enlisting more than 90 men, The Guardian reports. So you see the numbers, they keep shifting and changing. They say more than 80, more than 90. I'm sure there's more. 9 years, I'm sure there could be more. Dominique allegedly subjected these men to certain rules while they were in the couple's home. We went over some of these yesterday. Usually, the men would wait nearby as Dominique drugged his wife and arrive at their house once she'd lost consciousness. So there's text messages to prove all that, of course. They had to speak quietly, according to the Associated Press, to avoid arousing suspicion. They could not wear cologne or perfume, they say, or show up smelling like tobacco smoke. Clothes were to be removed in the kitchen because he wanted to minimize the risk of any clothing being left behind and anyone wondering whose is that. In court, Dominique again admitted to the premeditated assaults, his lawyer stating per The Guardian that after his arrest, Dominique always declared himself guilty because he's a great guy. Okay, he admitted to it. Dominique admitted, I put her to sleep, I offered her, and I filmed. You know that in court he apparently said, and again, I'm going to say, the naughty YouTube words, he said, I'm a rapist, I admit it. To me, the way, I didn't hear him say it, and he would be saying it in French, of course, but I'm like, damn, the way it's being quoted, it's almost as if he'd be saying it with pride. That's what bugs me about his confession, that he's almost like, well, yeah, that's what I did. I don't know, I don't feel remorse from any of the statements I'm reading. Now, so he says, I put her to sleep, I offered her and I filmed. Offered her. Oh my goodness. Now, he reportedly told the police that he started drugging his wife so that he could make her wear clothes and do things that she wouldn't while awake. Okay, that's abuse, bro. And said that he never took money from the men that he invited to rape her. He would never do that. Gisele, referring to her husband now only as Monsieur Pelicot, described it differently. I was sacrificed on the altar of vice, she testified. They regarded me like a rag doll, like a garbage bag. For her, the most accurate word to describe her husband's crimes, is torture. Now, how did she find out? So in 2020, the Deutsche Welle reports a security guard at a grocery store caught Dominique attempting to upskirt several women, allegations that led to his arrest. The case snowballed from there. On the devices investigators confiscated from Dominique, they found some 300 photographs and video, apparently later, much more, but 300 photographs and video footage of men sexually assaulting an incapacitated woman who turned out to be Gisele, per the Times. The count eventually rose to 20,000 photos and videos. Rounding off Dominique's damning digital footprint, officers also discovered meticulous records of the assault. The messages he had sent to his recruits in which he boasted of drugging his wife, per the Times, and solicited strangers' participation. Dominique also organized his photos in a folder on his computer labeled abuse. He labeled it abuse, adding dates and file names to most of the footage. But other women featured in his accounts too. So there's other women. The Guardian reports that he kept a folder entitled Around My Daughter Naked, which contained collages of her similarly incapacitated and nude. She wrote a memoir about her father's crimes, which is that one I showed you earlier in 2022, under the pen name Caroline Darien. Dominique had also taken surreptitious photos of his daughters-in-law naked without their knowledge or consent. When police summoned Gisele to the precinct, DW reports she had first defended her husband as a great guy. Then they showed her his archives. For me, everything collapses, she told the court, according to the AP. These are scenes of barbarity, of rape. Gisele left the police station packed all that was left for me of 50 years of life together into 2 suitcases and filed for divorce from her husband, she told the court. Subsequent testing revealed that she had multiple sexually transmitted infections. I no longer have an identity, she testified, according to the AP. I don't know if I'll ever rebuild myself. She has since changed her surname, but is using Pelicot at the trial. Quite like that. We'll put his name to shame, right? Okay. Blue Bear Art said somehow not even taking money makes it even worse, but then it was only about his own sick obsession, right? So exactly how many men are on trial? And this trial started September 2nd. They say it's going to go until Christmas, and they have like dozens of these men coming in week by week facing this trial, right? So in addition to Dominique, the 50 men that police have identified stand accused of having S.A. Gisele, according to the Times. A second defendant's box had to be built in the courtroom to contain them. The suspects range in age from 26 to 74, and they worked as journalists, plumbers, nurses, IT consultants, truck drivers, and more. Some have purported that they had no idea that she had been drugged, and that Dominique had tricked them, promising a threesome with his wife, who was merely pretending to be asleep. Others said that they thought she was a consenting participant. Gisele does not buy it, telling the court they knew exactly what they were doing and what shape I was in. According to The Guardian, she even recognized one of the men accused of raping her, a man who'd visited their home to talk about cycling with her husband, or so she believed. I saw him now and then in the bakery. I would say, hello, she recalled in court. I never thought he'd come and SA me. SA is obviously sexual assault. I just here and there want to censor it for YouTube. Most of the defendants have been charged with aggravated RAPE and face up to 20 years in prison if convicted. I hope every single one of them gets convicted, especially if they have text message evidence, the forum, all the digital evidence, and video. Now, most of the defendants have been charged with this and face up to 20 years, as say, if convicted. One, according to the Times, is accused of having, here we go, replicated Dominique's methods on his own wife and inviting other men, including Dominique, to assault her while she was unconscious. So, you see, Dominique invited them over, like, do you want to come over and assault my drugged wife? And then some of them returned the favor do you want to come over to my house and assault my drugged wife? That is what is so scary. This could be huge. There could be so many more victims out there, right? My goodness. Okay. Right. So Platinum said, what is so hard to understand that being essayed while you're in a coma, that the victim who wakes up in her own bed with her own husband will not think she was essayed? Yes, she was, but not always. It depends what they were doing. You know, sometimes you would just have them coming over, performing oral sex on her, or just filming things, doing things. Who knows, right? She had no idea what in the hell was going on. Okay, so yeah. Mina says the forum was called without her knowledge. You, the men, knew she didn't consent. I know, right? The forum is such a bust as well. Now, how scary is that, right? Now, who are Dominique Pelicot's other alleged victims? As mentioned, Dominique has also been accused of taking unsolicited photographs of his daughter and his daughters-in-law and faces violation of privacy charges for those as well. In court, Darian recalled the moment she first saw her father's photos, in which she lay in bed, ostensibly asleep. So that's a pen name, right? I realized right away that I was drugged in that photo, she testified, according to the Times. While Dominique has not been charged with drugging and abusing his daughter, she cannot escape her suspicions, calling her father the greatest sexual predator of the last 20 years in court. Now, the problem is, I think he might think that's a compliment, you know what I mean? I'm not blaming her, I'm just saying, I wonder how he'll take it. He'll probably be like, yes, the greatest. Oh, no. You know, these types. What can you do for a person like me to heal, she asked, to have a normal life of a woman, a normal sex life? As for the daughters-in-law, one, Gisèle Pelicot, testified that the anxiety over the photos that Dominique had taken, as well as over how he might have behaved with his grandchildren, all the red flags have gone up now, prevented her from sleeping more than 2 to 3 hours per night. We are all asking our children, whom we left with their grandparents, things we normally don't ask them, like, what did he do to you? Those are important conversations. She said, per the Times. The other, Aurora, now the ex-wife of Pelicot's other son, recalled overhearing Dominique asking her kid about not wanting to play doctor. Oh my goodness, that's why I say this could be so huge. It's already so huge, but imagine what else he's done. Because he was in his 60s when he did this to his wife. So what else has he done? As I say, there's cold case investigations looking at him as a suspect. Kelly, thank you for being a member for 14 months. You say sick. I know this case it's really horrifying. So she said, obviously I asked myself now if I had said something. She said, we all carry a kind of guilt about what we could have done, and this is mine. And in addition to the charges pertaining to his family members, Dominique is under investigation for 2 sex crimes that occurred in the 1990s, according to the Times. The rape and murder of a 23-year-old in 1991, which he denies, and the attempted rape of a 19-year-old in 1999, to which he has admitted. Oh my goodness. Both victims were real estate agents, as was Dominique, at least for part of his working life. In early October, the UK Times, citing Le Parisien and Daily Mail, reported that France's cold case squad had identified Dominique as a potential suspect in 5 other crimes: rapes, assaults, 1 murder, perpetrated against female real estate agents between 1991 and 2004. The investigation reportedly surprised Dominique's lawyer, but police plan to compare Pelicot's DNA to evidence from each of the old unsolved cases. Now, what did Dominique Pelicot say in his testimony? Here we go, you guys. Oh my goodness. Oh, no. Maurice, Australia says, gee, so many victims and broken families left to pick up the pieces of their broken lives. Yes. Okay, so what did he say in his testimony? Originally, Dominique was slated to testify during the trial's 2nd week, but a kidney infection with several concurrent ailments delayed his testimony until September 17th. When he finally addressed the court, he once again admitted his guilt. Dominique claimed that his supposed sex addiction was just too strong for him to give up the scheme, but he also expressed remorse. She didn't deserve this, he said of Gisele, according to the New York Times. I regret what I did and I ask for forgiveness, even if it is unforgivable. How about no? I would say no. Yeah, right. I would like to read that body language because I wasn't there in the courtroom. They're not streaming it. We didn't see it, but like, how did he say it? Right? Now, part of Dominique's testimony answered accusations from his fellow defendants that he had, according to one of the lawyers for the accused, totally duped, fooled, tricked, and trapped some of those who participated in these rapes. Today, I maintain that I am a rapist like those in this room. You see, that's one. I'm feeling a little bit of pride there from that statement, but I could be wrong. He testified, they all knew her condition before they came. They knew everything. They cannot say otherwise. According to local media, Dominique maintained that the men came to him of their own volition. They asked me. I said yes. Because, why would he turn them down? Keith Peterson said, what did he? Will it end up to be blackmail? I don't know. So, listen to this. Thank you, Keith, for your sticker. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Oh, my goodness. Okay, they all knew the condition, he says. They asked me, and I said yes. I didn't put anyone in handcuffs to bring them here. Yeah, he didn't press charges against anyone. No, he didn't. He also added that the obligations that he placed on them, in addition to those mentioned above, he asked them to bring test results and condoms, but said he still let it happen when they neglected the latter. Left no doubt as to Gisele's state. No, we'd read before from other reports. He actually said, clothing taken off in the kitchen. Your hands cannot be cold. No smoking. We don't want you to smell like tobacco. No cologne, no aftershave. Okay? And also no condoms. Dominique reportedly also recalled experiencing abuse in his youth. Oh, man. I'm glad I wasn't in that courtroom to see that. I'd be like snarking it up. Like, what? Now he's the victim, remember? We went over some of this yesterday, but we're going to go over some of this again now. Now, he says he was sexually assaulted at age 9 and forced to watch a rape at age 14. From my childhood, I remember only shock and trauma. Right, like that explains it. He said, according to the French news report, he also indicated that it was Gisele who lifted him out of it and that he was happy with her throughout their marriage. I'm crazy about her, he said. Even if it's paradoxical, I never thought of my wife as an object. Excuse me? You were dragging her for 9 years, almost a decade, okay? Letting strangers into your home to sexually abuse her. You filmed it. You made a folder. You labeled the folder. And you're like, I never thought of her as an object. Please. Wow. Observing that a person isn't born perverted, they become perverted. Dominique also addressed the footage that he filmed of the rape, saying that they were part pleasure and part insurance. As to why he labeled them so meticulously, he told judges it was perversion, vice, but it was also an outstanding means of helping me remember certain people. He wants to blackmail them, you see. He explained, according to local media, because of his recordings, he claimed, we could find all those who participated. Because again, he just helps the police so much. Like, thanks to my folder, that's why these other 50 men are here. And yes, thankfully. However, he's not a good guy. Sunshine said, was she in her 60s when this started? Yes. Like, she was either 59 or had just turned 60. So in her 60s when this happened, because it happened for 9 years. Janet Murphy says, I am on the Grizzly true crime diet. I cannot eat a thing after these stories. It's horrifying. Now, while Dominique did not refute the allegations that he abused his wife, he did deny drugging or raping his daughter, and he denied ever having inappropriately touched his grandchildren. When you suffered as a child what I suffered, you are not at all tempted by that kind of thing, he told the court. I have never touched a child. I would never touch one. When Dominique claimed not to have taken 2 photos of his daughter asleep in her underwear, Darian spoke out in court. You're lying, she reportedly interjected from the bench. And apparently, she wasn't wearing her own underwear. The pictures found were of his daughter and daughter-in-law, right? And they were wearing, especially they said the daughter was wearing her mother's underwear. The other one said the daughter-in-law underwear she didn't recognize. It's not her own. So they must have been drugged and he had the same MO, it sounds like. Now, listening to his testimony, Gisele was given the opportunity to respond. It's difficult for me to hear, she said. For 50 years, I lived with a man whom I wouldn't have imagined for a single second could do these things. I had total confidence in this man. Now we go. Oh, we're gonna eye roll so much now. What have the other accused said in court? After Dominique testified, the court began hearing from the men that he allegedly enlisted, who were called to the stand in small groups. The first to speak was Jean-Pierre Marechal, who isn't accused of raping Gisele, but has been jailed for carrying out Dominique's blueprint on his own wife, Celia. According to France 24, Marshall told Marshall, must say Marshall. I don't know how to say this French surname. I'm so sorry about that. Danielle Alexander, thank you so much. Okay, so Marshall told the court that he first met Dominique on Coco, that website, that forum, where Dominique detailed his scheme and eventually asked to rape his wife, Marshall's wife. The 63-year-old didn't immediately accept, but reportedly suggested that Dominique coaxed him into it. What? If I had not met Mr. Pelicot, I would have never committed this act. He was reassuring like a cousin. Oh my word, reassuring like a cousin? Black Widow, nice to see you. Thank you so much for being here and being a member for 21 months. Reassuring like a cousin? Okay then. So he's like, it's his fault. Yeah, he coaxed me into this. He made me drag my wife and have him come over and rape her, okay? What? So they say wait, we were here. He was reassuring like a cousin, according to the Global News. Dominique allegedly supplied the tranquilizers and is accused of raping Celia 10 times while Marshall watched. He is himself accused of raping or trying to Celia on 12 occasions. On what turned out to be their final meeting, Celia reportedly woke up while Dominique was in the room, prompting the two men to sever communications. Yeah, Lisa Happy One is like a cousin? Like a cousin. Now, like Dominique, Marshall told the court that he'd been sexually abused as a child. Bro, save your sob stories, okay? We experienced terrible things from my father, he said, according to CBS News. My mother tried to protect us, but she drank. Like Dominique, Marshall also insisted he'd had a happy life with Celia, who has not divorced him. I regret my actions. I love my wife, he told the court, adding that he hoped for a tough punishment. I'm in jail, and I deserve it, he said. What I did is appalling. I'm a criminal and a rapist. Now, I wish Celia would divorce his ass. Divorce his ass. Okay. After Marshall, the court heard from several other defendants. Lionel R., a 44-year-old father of 3, said that Dominique came to him, allegedly making a rather unusual proposal to have sex with his wife. Lionel R. said the invitation was issued online. He tells me that he's in a relationship, the grocery store worker said of Dominique, according to France 24. He tells me that she'll be asleep, talks to me about sleeping pills, tells me that she takes them or that he gives them to her. It's not clear. I'm not asking too many questions. I was convinced it was a game at the time. Yes, it was, between you and Dominique. Not Gisele's game. Oh my word. When he showed up at the Pelicot home in December of 2018, Lionel allegedly proceeded to rape Gisele for half an hour, while Dominique directed the scene in whispers, snapping to only when Gisele stirred and Dominique asked me to leave the room, Lionel said, per France 24. I realized there was a big problem in that she mustn't wake up in front of me. I should have left and reacted much sooner. Reacted much sooner? You didn't react at all. You got arrested because they saw you on video and your text messages. None of these men ran to the police afterwards saying, there's a guy that's literally having people come over to rape his wife. No one said that. Wow. Gigi, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, I never told myself I will rape that woman, he told the court, according to The Guardian. But since I never obtained Mrs. Pelicot's consent, I have no choice but to accept the facts. Lionel R. claimed that he never imagined that she might not be part of this game. That just never crossed his mind. She's unconscious, okay, but he just didn't think that she was not consenting to any of this. Wow. But he admitted that he should have checked that she was okay with it, or simply left when he saw that she was unconscious. I'm guilty of rape, he said, before apologizing to Gisele. I can only imagine the nightmare that you've lived through, he said, and I am part of this nightmare. I know my apologies won't change what happened, but I wanted to tell you that. Ex-fireman Jacques, who is 74, reportedly told the court that he visited Coco in service of his libertine lifestyle. According to France 24, he testified that Dominique told him that Gisele would be drugged when he arrived at the couple's home in February of 2020. I had this idea of a promiscuous couple where the wife might be asleep, perhaps because she was a shy person, he reportedly said. But Jacques claimed that he quickly knew something was off about the situation because Gisele showed no reaction when he caressed her naked body. Yeah, bro, she's unconscious. He said that he performed oral sex on Gisele, but that Dominique asked me to leave the room when she appeared to respond. That, he said, was a relief for me, so I got dressed. When he came back, I told him I did not want to be there. As he left, Jacques told the court that he considered going to the police, but, then life resumed its course. And the next day I went to work very early, and that was that. Oh my word. He's like, well, that was that. I was going to tell someone. I wanted to tell the police. But, I had to go work early, so that was that. Shrug. Oh my goodness. Tony says, it must be nice to blame others when carrying out disgusting actions. True victims must be enraged when hearing this BS. I know, right? Oh man, this is terrible. Thank you, Tony. Okay, so, wow, he just went to work. The septuagenarian went so far as to claim in court that he has the deepest respect for women. Really? I don't think any of these men know love or respect or consent. Doesn't seem like that. I'm not reading that from this. So, but he also appeared to fudge the truth, per the Telegraph's report, when he claimed not to have had penetrative or oral sex with Gisele. Here we go, you guys. He's like, I didn't. Then, the judge played footage of the encounter. For the first time during the trial, though a presiding judge has since ruled that no photos or videos will be disclosed to the media or public, that told another story. In response, Jacques reportedly mumbled that he became aware that potentially I was abusing her, but was a bit slow in catching on. Give me a break. Sorry, I didn't know. I'm still processing. Like, guys, I didn't know I was abusing her. This liar. Oh my word. Now he denies essaying her. The second group of men to testify gave similar accounts. Mathieu acknowledged that he raped Gisele, telling the court he realized that the encounter at the Pelicot home hadn't been consensual when he was arrested. Guys, he only realized when he was arrested that, wow, that actually wasn't consensual. Not during the act. Only when those handcuffs came out, he's like, wow, I think that was wrong. Oh, goodness, okay. Realized it hadn't been consensual when he was arrested. He said that Dominique told him he would give his wife drugs to make her sleep so that the couple could later watch the video together. Another, Fabien, said that in the excitement, he didn't pay attention to the fact that Gisele was unconscious. In the excitement? It's like a corpse. She's completely unconscious. And he's like, I didn't realize it. Reportedly an alcoholic who was formerly unhoused, Fabien was a frequent user of coco.gg when he first encountered Dominique. When he arrived at their home in August of 2018, he testified that he was in the mood and didn't think that Gisele was drugged. He stayed for a quarter of an hour before leaving in a hurry because he thought that she was going to wake up, according to the local report. Nonetheless, he claimed he thought Gisele was complicit in the idea. I recognize the facts, but I didn't come to rape her, he reportedly said. I wasn't aware. Again, the forum was called Without Her Knowledge. Pamela said the participants should do time too, shaking my head. They're gonna, if convicted, all of these. There's 51 men on trial, including the husband. If convicted, every single one of them will face up to 20 years in prison, right? Okay, so Housametin D testified that although Dominique told him his wife had a sleep kink but liked to swing, he was still surprised by her state when he walked into the couple's bedroom. When he began touching her, Housametin said, she didn't move at all. I said, she's dead, your wife, he told the court. According to the AFP. Dominique then said, no, you're imagining it. We just have to pause every now and then and just like process this all together. What? He tells Dominique, hey, your wife's dead. He says, no, you're imagining it. Okay, he's gaslighting that his wife is unconscious. And so is this guy, thinking anyone's going to believe him. He penetrated her, and she lifted up her head a little. He claimed to have continued for another 30 minutes before he heard her snoring and left. Housametin, I don't know how to say his surname, Housametin, first denied having raped Gisele, reportedly saying that he received a message on coco.gg reading, I am indeed his wife, and I agree to welcome you. He impersonated his wife as well, this Dominique. He said, well, I'm not a rapist, he told the court, per AFP. That's too much for me to bear. It's her husband. I never thought that guy could do that to his own wife. Guzman only changed his tune after one of the judges reminded him that the French law defines the crime as penetration through violence, constraint, threat, or surprise. But according to the Courthouse News service, he also called himself a victim. In the first week of October, a third round of defendants came before the court. The group of 7 men uniformly failed to demonstrate empathy for the victim, according to the expert psychiatrist who testified on their character profiles. Per French media, while they may have shared a sense of guilt and concern as to the consequences for their personal lives, the men tended to blame Dominique for the rapes rather than themselves. That prompted the psychiatrist to identify a unifying pattern among the accused. Narcissism, a lack of self-confidence, a lack of empathy, according to local news. And in the case of one man, Adrian L., an explicit hatred of women, as he explained during his testimony. Per the French media, 34-year-old Adrian L. is the youngest of the accused and figured in Dominique's rape videos as early as 2014. Depicted in the local report as a sort of golden boy gone astray, Adrian L. comes from a structured and loving family with an overprotective mother and a father that he admires. He followed his father into the family business, a prominent local company that annually generated more than 130 million euros in sales. Adrian L. reportedly told the court that he worked like a dog for his father's recognition, but was only ever pushed aside. Shame, you guys. He was only ever pushed aside by his daddy. And now this freaking adult male is going over to other people's homes, raping their wives. Allegedly. Starting in his teenage years, Adrian L. reportedly collected girlfriends, and when he was 18, he discovered that a 16-year-old girl that he was dating was pregnant. His parents pushed for a paternity test, which revealed that Adrian L. was not the father. Thus born was his self-avowed hatred of women. So this guy was collecting girlfriends. One of them got pregnant. When he realized that's not his child, he's like, how dare she? I hate all women. What? Mary said, I wonder how many other victims there are of these lousy, no-good men. Shame. I know, right? I really worry about that. I never deceived anyone, he reportedly told the court. I never betrayed anyone. How could someone do that to me? What? This guy's like talking about a girlfriend when he was 18. Okay, holding a grudge, even though he was collecting girlfriends. After that, he testified he lost all interest in women, but he didn't stop dating them. He eventually became a parent and reportedly threatened the mother of his son, saying that he would hurt their child. Sounds great, doesn't he? And the Pelicot trial marks his second court appearance on charges of sexual abuse this year. He recently received a 14-year sentence for raping and assaulting 3 of his exes. According to local media, he partially blamed his sexual aggression on abuse that he allegedly suffered as an 8-year-old when he said he was touched by a cousin whom his father prized. He apparently declined to go into detail. You know, when people use their own trauma to justify massive trauma they're inflicting on others, no, don't do that. Now, in addition to Adrian L., among this group of defendants was Simone M., a father of 5, or Simon M., a father of 5 who claims a history of alcohol and sex addiction, as well as sexual abuse in his childhood. According to France Bleu, Simon was the man Gisele saw once in her home, ostensibly looking at her husband's bicycle. Per local media, Simon testified that when he came to the Pelicot house, Dominique directed him in what to do, but then told him to hurry up and leave before he had penetrated Gisele, allegedly because Dominique hadn't sedated her heavily enough. Although he admitted to never having gotten Gisele's consent, Simon insisted that he wasn't a rapist and believed that he was just taking part in a game. Similarly, Red 1E, a nurse, said he wasn't aware that Dominique had drugged his wife. Well, bro, you're a nurse. Go study some more. Okay, a nurse, he said he didn't know that he had drugged his wife and denied having committed rape. I didn't force anyone. I didn't surprise anyone, he said. He's taking things literally. I think it would be a surprise. You surprised Gisele when she saw the video later. You understand? Like, well, how does he not understand this? Wow. Yeah, Abraham says, touched. No details. Sounds like BS to me. Vanessa, oh, thank you. Now he said, I didn't force anyone, I didn't surprise anyone. Indeed, he claimed to have been Dominique's victim. I was in imminent danger, he told the court. He reduced me to his instrument. Okay. 2 men, Jean T and Thierry P.A., purport to have no memory. That's another one, just like don't recall at all. No memory of it whatsoever. They purport to have no memory of what happened at the Pelicots, alleging that Dominique gave them drugged drinks upon their arrival. Creative defense. Dominique denied offering his guests any beverages, but according to local media, Jean T testified that his last memory inside the Pelicot's home, post-soda, was of Dominique having sex with Gisele. The next thing he knew, he said he was back in his car with no idea of what happened in between. According to France Bleu, Thierry similarly claimed to remember nothing about the events of his visit, beyond drinking the whiskey and coke that Dominique gave him. Both men therefore denying having committed rape. Another defendant, Thierry Poe, was taken into custody in November of 2022 for the possession of over 1,000 pornographic photos and videos involving children and animals. Yes, as if you think it can't get worse, right? Inc said, Mr. Inks just heard this case and said, and that's why nice guys have a hard time. Yes, there are nice guys out there. This is not all men, okay? It's just a lot of men in this case. Don't let true crime skew your perception of all men. There's nice guys, okay? Mr. Grizzly is a nice guy. I'm sure many of us know nice guys, okay? But man, this case, it's making all these men, this group of men look really, really bad. My goodness, but just think of Stefan Stones and his little network that he possibly had. Think of Rex Heuermann and these little forums that he could have been on. All these types of guys, they find each other. Gross. Now, of his involvement in the Pelicot case, local media says he told the court, Dominique told me to do this and do that. It didn't work. They were moans. She moved. For me, she wasn't sleeping. Dude, you have no leg to stand on if there's over 1,000 pornographic photos and videos involving children and animals. And now you're like, I don't know, I didn't know she was drugged. She wasn't sleeping. Sure. Children and animals can't consent either. Okay. This guy, wow. Okay, now I'm getting snarky. I'm getting very, very upset. This case is so... We just looked at the Diddy case as well. That's another one that's huge and upsetting based on the allegation. This is like unprecedented in France. Can you imagine? 51 men on trial at the same time. And then there was Jerome V, who made 6 trips to the Pelicot's home between February and June of 2020. So some of them went there more than once. That's the other thing. While the rest of the country was under COVID lockdown. Yeah, this guy was like, screw that. I'm going over to Dominique's house. Though he admitted to the 6 rapes in their entirety and said he was completely aware of the situation, local media reports that he blamed his weak character. What? I only laugh because it's ridiculous, not because the situation is funny, right? It's so ridiculous, I don't even know what else to do. Just like, I don't know, I was a weak character. I had no backbone. What? That is not an excuse. It is not a defense. But okay, a sex addiction and an inability to say no to Dominique. He just couldn't say no to that guy. Whatever he offered, he's like, okay. Wow. So he blames his weak character, a sex addiction, and an inability to say no to Dominique, he told the court. Jerome V further claimed to have been a childhood victim of physical and psychological violence by his parents and classmates, and as a result, maybe have more difficulty than the average person in understanding the suffering of others. No, I disagree with that. It can happen in some cases. We know some, let's say, serial killers or serial predators, all that, sure, they may have trauma in their childhood. It's not an excuse. Because many of us, as an example in this community, have been through a lot of trauma. And yet, what do we choose? Oh, to understand how terrible that feels and not do it to others. It's just like, I don't know. That's probably what made me not understand the suffering of others. He also said that he was very touched by Gisele's testimony and by the little scrap of a woman that she is. Ew, minimizing. No, you don't talk about her at all. How about that? I felt even worse for hurting someone so pure, he added. You liar. You probably went there because she was this tiny, little, innocent, pure lady. That's probably the appeal. Oh, so gross. My goodness. Clara, thank you so much. Now, they say, at first, As the first of her alleged abusers took the stand, Gisele told the court that she felt humiliated by the process. I can't imagine how strong she has to be to go through all of that, right? Some of the defense lawyers have reportedly tried to leverage some of Dominique's photos as evidence that Gisele was aware of what was happening to her, further suggesting that the acts didn't necessarily qualify as rape if they believed that she had given consent. Can you imagine going through that? Marie said, "Gee, you are amazing. Your integrity and diligence in protecting victims and their families is outstanding. You also protect us, your G fam, and bring us only true facts with respect of the case. I appreciate you, G." Thank you, Maurice. That is so sweet. Thank you. Ooh, this is a lot. Can you imagine Gisele sitting there facing her ex-husband and those 50 men, knowing there's 30 more out there that haven't been identified, being that brave, and then those, I know the defense attorneys are doing their jobs, but to be zooming into photos and saying, see, there. Like she sighed, she opened her eyes for a second, or she moaned, or she moved, or she did something. So yeah, therefore it's not rape. That is so bad. If you've ever had a drink that was roofied, I think you know how that could be. It's like, oh my word, this is so rape. What the hell are they even saying? There are no different types of rape, Gisele countered. According to France 24, rape is rape. These degenerates could have checked with her, she noted. I like that. I like her snarky. They didn't. When they see a woman sleeping on her bed, no one thought to ask themselves a question. Don't they have brains? She said. Yes, I'm applauding all that. Per The Guardian. When does a husband decide for his wife? Because some of these men said, but the husband consented. So doesn't that mean consent? Like the husband owns the wife, right? So if the husband says it's okay, it's fine, right? He's okay with it. So, wow, that's really got to change. My goodness. I've been called an alcoholic, a conspirator of Mr. Pelicot, she said. In the state I was in, I absolutely could not respond. I was in a comatose state. The video showed that. Oh man, I wish we could all be there and support her. You know, I hope that she sees this and just knows there's a huge community here. We are a growing community of Grizzlies and we have got her back. We support her. Somebody said Gisele is definitely a grizzly. She's definitely an honorary grizzly, but she is so fierce. She's so tough that she's like the strongest grizzly representative we can imagine, right? My goodness. So how long is the trial expected to last? The trial began on September, most sources say 2nd, and is expected to run into December. They say up to Christmas. According to the AP, groups of defendants will continue to be tried together before a panel of judges. We will update as the case develops. Okay, and then there was this one other one here, which said copycat in Dominique Pelicot rape trial admits to drugging and raping his own wife with help. Another man involved in the French rape trial that has shocked people around the world has admitted to drugging and raping his partner, which legal and psychological experts say highlights the problematic and pervasive attitude that a husband owns his wife and her body. An associate of Dominique Pelicot, who on Tuesday testified in court that for nearly a decade he let dozens of men rape his then-wife, Gisèle Pelicot, that's Dominique, 72, after he drugged her, admitted to copycat abuse of his own wife on Wednesday. This is an associate of Dominique admitting this, right? We went over this just a little bit here. Like Dominique Pelicot had a day earlier, Jean-Pierre Maréchal, 63, blamed his troubled childhood for his decision to rape his wife, Celia, and inviting Pelicot to do the same. But he also blamed Pelicot for mentoring him. I regret my actions. I love my wife, he said. In a courtroom in Avignon in southern France Wednesday. If I had not met Mr. Pelicot, I would have never committed this act. Yeah, right. He was reassuring like a cousin. Police said Maréchal worked with Pelicot to drug and both rape Maréchal's wife Celia after meeting on a now shuttered website. Maréchal's not accused of raping Gisèle Pelicot, who later on Wednesday told the court that these men are degenerates. They committed rape. Today, forgiveness does not exist, she added. I like that as well. I like that. Now, they say marital rape has only been considered an aggravated crime in France since 2006. In 2018, approximately 213,000 women older than 18 in France said that they've been victims of physical or sexual violence at the hands of a partner or former partner, according to a report by the US Department of State. Here she is, Gisèle Pelicot. Oh my word, such a strong lady. Wow. Yeah, Stefan is like, now what? His tough childhood or a weak character? Which one is it? So I'm going to link this for you. I don't want to be too much longer here, right? We've read most of this. I just wanted to show you that one again of this copycat, which is part of this article as well. This is such a brilliantly written article with so much information. My goodness, by Claire Lampin, an editor and writer. This is from thecut.com. That one is linked already for you below. So everyone, I'll keep you posted on what happens. I hope that every single one of them is held accountable. They face up to 20 years in prison if convicted. I saw other articles saying that, you know, these men are not appreciating how they're being targeted, like in public. You know, some of them are detained, some are not. Anyway, so the thing is how they're being targeted, how their families are being called out, how the village is looking around at all the men now in the village, because there's still 30 at least out there that have not been identified. So people are now not trusting their peers and whoever else. But I mean, yeah, this is about Gisele and what happened to her. You know, this is her case. This is horrific what happened to her. So I'm so proud of her. Thank you so much all for being here to watch this with me. If you didn't see part 1, please go watch part 1 because it'll all make a lot more sense. Because yesterday we did a chronological timeline. We saw, you know, I made bullet points for you as I always do, like I did at the beginning of the stream, of when Gisele met her husband, when they got married, how many children they had, and just the timeline of that and many other things. So go check out part 1. This is part 2, and then I'll keep you posted on what happens here. Make sure you check out my YouTube shorts and my community tab. On my community tab, I was telling you today that there's a trial I'd like to cover very much now that they're going to have cameras in the courtroom. Many of you have emailed me about it. I think we're going to do that, all right? So Maya said, Gisele, we are with you from around the world. I hope she sees that. I really hope she does. So thank you so much, everyone. We had 2 streams today. If you missed the P. Diddy updates, please go check that one out as well. You've got some homework to do, okay? Part 1 is part of the homework for this case. And then the second bit of homework would be check out those P. Diddy updates, because my goodness. All right, everyone. Sending Gisele and her daughters, her family, her sons, everyone. Her sons are devastated. They are in the courtroom supporting their mother. Sending all of them and all the other potential victims too. Alleged victims, potential victims, whoever else is out there, lots of love as well. All right, everyone, I'll see you again very soon. Stay safe.